Welcome to Meldon Law and Friends. I'm attorney Jeffrey Meldon, founder of Meldon Law, and my son Kerry is my esteemed law partner. And every week we try to bring you some great guests that will perhaps help you in either your home and personal matters or business matters. And today we have a great guest who's going to talk about how to help business owners manage their team members, their employees, and it's going to be really exciting. Mark Perez from ADP is going to be here and tell us all about the services they provide to help small businesses become profitable and also get the best employees and retain them. Before we get into that, however, we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the community. Meldon Law, of course, is your premier law firm that represents folks that are seriously injured in auto and other accidents. If you have any issues, any questions, if you've been seriously injured, please give us a call at 352-373-8000 or go to meldonlaw.com. Things in the community that are coming up. This weekend, a big show. It's called the Wombash. The Wombash is celebrating the radio station called the Wombat, WMBT, which is 90.1 FM. And the events are taking place April 19th and April 20th at the First Magnitude Brewery, which is in Gainesville, Florida. It's going to be really nice because the First Magnitude has created a terrific venue to listen to music outside. And the folks that have had their beers, they do a great job of creating the beers. As a matter of fact, we're here at the Steve Spurrier restaurant that everybody loves and enjoys. Behind me are some of the helmets that the head ball coach has accumulated over the years as a player and as a coach. And the head ball coach created what he calls the head beer coach beer, and 1966, the year he won the Heisman Trophy, and it's available here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. So take advantage of it, and if you want to check out all the beers, including their 1966, go over to First Magnitude Brewery. It's off South Main Street near the Cade Museum. Isn't hard to find, First Magnitude. So anyhow, show starts at 5:30 on the Friday, April 19th and 20th. Now, we're giving away 4 tickets if you want to experience this event, 4 tickets for both Friday and Saturday. All you have to do is go to the Meldon Law page, and you can win tickets. Go on Facebook, put in Meldon Law, you'll see our page, and then it'll follow through what you need to do in order to win tickets. We got lots of tickets that we're giving away, and go ahead on Facebook. You can also follow us on Meldon Law Instagram page and let us know if you want tickets, and we'll see what we can do to help you out. As a matter of fact, if you go to the Meldon Law Instagram page, like this post, tag who you want to bring with you, comment what musical act you're most excited to see, and we'll let you know very quickly whether or not you've won. There's never any payment needed. We give away these tickets and we are one of the prime sponsors for the Wabash. Williston's 4th annual Macon Bacon Fest, powered by Meldon Law. We're supporting those folks in Williston who have this incredible party. They call it Macon Bacon. If you can believe this, all the dishes are bacon-centric, meaning bacon's in every dish, some more than others. And for those of you that like bacon, you're going to get an amazing array of choices. And there's a bacon eating contest, the best bacon dish competition, and lots of lively entertainment. Admission is free, and it's a family fun event for all you bacon lovers. So check it out. So it's April 20th at 11 a.m. at the Williston Horsemen's Park. And you'll love it. We've been out there. We love our partnership with the folks from Williston's Horsemen's Park who do events all the time, and they're really getting good at it. So don't pass up this opportunity. For those of you in Marion County, Wind FM rocks the Riley. So if you haven't been to the Riley Auditorium, it's a great venue, 400 or 500 seats, and they put on some terrific shows. Saturday, April 20th, they're presenting Highway to Hell and Absolute Def Leppard at the Riley. So it's a night of pure energy and iconic music. You get a double dose of both, Highway to Hell and Def Leppard. So let's see what you can do. Now, if you want to join and get tickets, all you have to do is go to our Facebook page, Meldon Law, and you will score a pack of 4 tickets for you and your friends. Lots of other ticket giveaways. What I recommend is check out our Facebook page, Meldon Law, and we're giving away tickets for baseball, softball. We were giving away tickets for gymnastics. Now the Gators are on the road. They did win their regional match up here, and they're going to get ready to play the big time for the national championship in gymnastics. Women's and men's basketball is over. However, they are looking good, and we're going to have lots of special announcements for both women's and men's basketball. So if you want free tickets, you know where to go. That's a little bit of what's going on in the world around North Central Florida. And please go to the Meldon Law Facebook page, and we love giving away tickets. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back on Meldon Law and Friends.
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
I was going down a one-way street and a girl that was driving her car T-boned me on my scooter. I ended up going for an MRI and discovering that I had 2 herniated discs. Coming to Cary allowed me to not have to worry about what doctor I was going to see or what physical therapist I had to go to. They say, these are the people we trust. You're going to have a great experience there, and I honestly did each time.
Call Meldon Law. Your consultation is absolutely free.
Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
And I was in an accident. Someone ran a red light and hit me, and I was hurt. You don't know where to turn. Luckily, I called Jeffrey. These big insurance companies, they don't want you to win. They truly don't. But Jeffrey and his firm and the people that work here, they just really fight for you. You call the law offices of Jeffrey Meldon because you're going to need help, and they will help you.
Call Meldon Law right now.
Hey, Sammy, look who's there. Say hi.
Hey!
You again!
Meldon Law, Jeffrey speaking.
Somebody else hit us!
Here we go again.
After the car accident, your personal life takes a toll when you have major injuries. Being a mother of 3 kids, having to work, it became overwhelming. Didn't know what was going to be my outcome, but Meldon Law actually, they went above and beyond.
At Meldon Law, we're not just your legal team, we're your support system. You do not have to go through this alone. At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Welcome back to Meldon Law and Friends. I'm Jeffrey Meldon, founder and attorney at Meldon Law, and we're excited to have our guest today, Mark Perez, who's the district manager for small business services with ADP. Welcome to the show, Mark. How you doing?
Thanks for having me. Love to be here. Doing great.
Yeah. So, at Meldon Law, we're always involved in how to provide benefits for our team members, how to, attract the best and the brightest folks. And I know the services that you provide are essential to doing that.
Yep.
Why don't you, first of all, tell us a little bit about what does ADP mean anyhow?
So ADP, we're actually in our 75th anniversary. This is our 75th year of operation. ADP depends on who you ask and when you ask, but the technical name is Automatic Data Processing.
Okay, I like
Very boring.
And but they had that name 75 years ago, right?
Yep, absolutely. Started years ago. A guy who started the company was basically an accountant and was working in-house as an in-house accountant after he graduated from college, and discovered when it came to payroll and that sort of thing, he was really good at it, and met up with his brother and figured out, well, we could start a business out of this. And that's kind of where it started 75 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, big companies have different needs, but you specialize in helping folks that have small businesses
correct,
who may not be able to put together a whole team to manage employee benefits, assets, and attracting new talent. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
Tell us about what are the services that you offer to your clients.
Sure. So I specialize in our small business division. So my wheelhouse, technically on paper, anything from 1 to 50 employees. I typically deal with any from 1 to 10. That's kind of my ballpark, my wheelhouse. A lot of single person S corps, small mom and pop type shops.
S corp has to do with a certain tax status you get, but it's a company, but it's taxed like an individual, and they call it a sub S corp.
Exactly. Yeah. And I get a lot of CPAs send me their S corps because as an S corp you're required to pay yourself a reasonable and fair salary, and so they're not doing that. So their CPA sends them to me, and I get them all taken care of. So payroll is pretty straightforward, right? So we handle ADP. Payroll companies like ADP will handle all the payroll tax filings. We provide you the platform to pay yourself and your people. So when it comes to tax filings, we file all the state and federal income taxes and all the payroll taxes, the FICA, all the Social Security, Medicare, all that fun stuff. State unemployment, federal unemployment, SUTA, SUI, and FUTA, all that fun stuff. Nobody likes any of that kind of stuff. Nobody wants to talk about any of that kind of stuff. Nobody likes paying taxes. So we handle all of that for you. You basically click a button and we handle all the money movement and all the filings on your behalf.
Now, do you do direct deposit to employees?
100%. Yeah, so it just depends on what the client wants and needs. Certain companies, I would say most companies nowadays are doing full service direct deposit. That's pretty standard. But every now and then you've got certain people that they just want to check, and so we have a couple different options. We can do a check where the business owner's name is already pre-signed on the check. Typically what they do is we just send the check and then they fill it out and give it to their employees. But I would say 95, if not more, % of what we do is full service direct deposit. So.
And what are some of the other services you provide to small business?
Yeah, so, payroll is payroll, right? But how we integrate every other aspect of the business is where we really shine. So there's a saying we have at ADP that we handle everything from hire to retire. So we're going to help small business owners from job, hiring, attracting and retaining top talent, all the way until the retirement benefits as well, and everything in between. So some of those things are, aside from payroll, health benefits. We help with retirement benefits, so 401k, simple IRA, those sorts of things, SEP IRAs. We help with timekeeping solutions. Restaurant industries, clocking in, clocking out, a lot of blue collar stuff where they're clocking in. They might have employees all over in the field. They can clock in and out on their phone. We've got facial recognition technology, thumbprint scanners, all kinds of stuff, just whatever the business might need. And then we also help with compliance issues. So some people are paying, and we can dive into this at some point if you want to, 1099 versus W-2. And if you work in certain sectors, a lot of people say, I'm going to pay my employees, I'm just going to 1099 them.
Right, so they don't have to match their, Medicare,
taxes, all the,
Social Security, and all that.
And I get the understanding and the reason for doing that, but the IRS has very specific classifications for what a W-2 employee is versus a 1099.
I think of a 1099 as an independent contractor.
That's literally what they're supposed to be. So if you're working for a painting company and your guys are using your tools, you have control over where they're going to be, when they're going to be, how they're going to get paid. If they're using your equipment, driving your trucks, wearing your logo, that's not a 1099. And there's some pretty hefty fines that the IRS and Department of Labor can levy of a business that's doing that sort of thing. So I have conversations now. I can't advise them on that because I'm not an accountant, but I can say, hey, this is something you might want to talk to your accountant about. And if you want to go down that road, we can look at maybe moving you guys on as a 1090 or a W-2 as opposed to a 1099. But that said, there are a lot of companies that do have 1099s, and that's legit, whether they're individual or corporate 1099s. And our payroll platform, we handle both of those. So you can onboard a 1099 or W-2 almost the exact same way. We make it really easy.
And to kind of simplify it, the 1099s are you hire somebody to do a job. Mm-hmm. However, you don't completely control what they do. So they have their own tools or their own equipment. They're working for you, but they might also be working for other people. Independent contractor, the term dates back to, in law school, long time ago, we learned about independent contractors, and it all had to do what Mark was saying is, how much control do you have over that employee? Are you providing all of their equipment and tools? Are you controlling their actions from morning till they stop working in the afternoon? Right. Do you tell them where to go, when to go, things like that? And then all of a sudden, that's not independent. That's dependent.
Pretty dependent, yeah.
Pretty dependent, yeah. Right? And I think the reason that the IRS and the government want you to correctly assign those is because the employers have to match certain benefits. Mm-hmm. And in the long term, it actually benefits the employees. If they're a 1099, you send them a tax form at the end of the year. They're responsible for paying their own taxes,
100%.
Their own Medicare benefits, Social Security, and all that. Typically, though, a lot of times they may pay less than what they would if they were a W-2 employee. Right?
Yeah, it can be that way. Sometimes they can actually pay more. It just depends on the situation. And the other thing we see, and you see this in certain industries, where, like, I was working with a daycare down in the Orlando area once, and we stopped in and we were talking about them because their accountant actually referred them to us, and for this specific issue. And daycare, it's low income wages for a lot of the on-site staff. They're not making a lot of money, and so paycheck to paycheck is a big thing. And so the employees want to be 1099s because they don't want money coming out of their paycheck.
And they
don't
get
think
more
about,
net.
Right,
They get more net.
Right.
More net.
But what they don't realize is you still have, Uncle Sam's getting his money one way or another, right? And so at the end of the year, what they should be doing, and not always doing that, is paying the taxes at the end of the year through that 1099 and then filing their own taxes. So we try to help people understand those nuances, because a lot of people just think, oh, it's more money coming out of my business account or if you're the employee, my paycheck. And so having them understand the why is part of what we do.
Well, the fact is that the employees really benefit when their employer is matching some of the money that's taken out of their gross salary, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's funny because when you meet with a lot of small business owners that are just starting up, they're good at what they do, right? I'm really good at, construction. I'm really good at plumbing. I really like doing graphic design. I've got this graphic design marketing company. They don't go to school to learn how to run a business. They're not accountants. They're not lawyers. They don't know all of these sorts of things. They're not HR directors, right? And so that's where we come in, is to help them understand what makes sense for them and their business and their size, and help take some of that burden off their shoulders. And because they don't know what they don't know. And it's funny how many conversations I have with small business owners where they say, well, I got to pay, why is the amount, I'm paying $10,000 in wages this payroll, but why is it asking me I have to have $11,000 in the bank account? Well, it's because there's also payroll taxes that you got to match. Why do I have to do that? And you have to kind of have those conversations. Once they get on board, they get it. So
well, it's an expense of doing business. It's required. It benefits the employees, and that certainly is an important aspect of what your salary is. So, if you're making, $50,000 a year, and you're only getting $40,000 a year, that means $10,000 is going into Medicare, your
Social
retirement
Security,
benefits,
yep.
right, for Social Security,
right,
and the employer has to match that, which means you're actually doubling up on your benefits, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that's interesting is, and we're seeing more in the industry and across all professions doing this, is showing on a pay stub all of the other benefits that they're getting. That's not necessarily, the employee might not think about the salary part, but health benefits it's a huge one these days. So seeing what the employer side of what they're paying to cover your side of the health benefits is a big one.
Yeah, I know my daughter works for a large nonprofit, and they explain that to her. Whatever her salary is, it's about 25 to 30% more in benefits, because she gets really good health care. She get the matching. They get retirement benefits. They get life insurance and all of that.
Yeah, my wife used to work for the state university system, and I did as well. And you can get so locked in because the benefits there are amazing, right? And so you might start thinking about maybe I want to do a different thing in my career, but man, these benefits, right? You start to do the numbers, you realize your salary might be $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year, but you tack on those benefits and do some different cost analysis, where if you went to someone else's benefits plan where you're actually getting $10,000, $15,000 more dollars, really, it's really what the take home is to you, because your premiums are going to go up considerably.
Yeah,
so.
And not only that, for example, health insurance, right? The employer gets a deduction for the cost, but I don't think that the IRS taxes that benefit for health insurance, right?
I don't believe so. I'm not an accountant, so I don't want to speak out of turn.
No, it's that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what does that mean? It means, say your health insurance is $15,000 a year for you and your family, and that's a benefit that's provided. If you were to pay that with after-tax dollars, you might have to earn $20,000 to pay that $15,000 health bill to Blue Cross or whoever.
Absolutely.
So it's actually a win-win in many ways, because the employer gets to deduct it, which doesn't mean they don't have to pay for it. It just means it reduces their tax liability a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Right?
And every little bit helps, right?
However, it's interesting, Mark, because at Meldon Law, we really have been focused in on providing a comprehensive benefit package to our employees. We think it's critical to hire the best and the brightest.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Sure.
You were mentioning that you help as far as employee acquisition and retention.
Sure.
Let's talk about that.
So you nailed it. Right. The first thing, health benefits, right? That's the biggest one. So let's do a hypothetical. I work with a lot of blue collar companies. So you're an electrical company, right? And you are offering your employees, $15 an hour, $20 an hour as a technician. There could be another company that's going to offer them $1 or $2 more. Now, for a young, up-and-coming electrical technician, that might be attractive. But if you're offering health benefits and the other one isn't, they might be able to pay him slightly more, but you're offering health, maybe you're offering retirement. So that's a great incentive for them to keep that talent. And then so that's kind of a big one. Health is huge. It's also very expensive, right? And we can talk about some of the things we do to allay some of those costs in a minute. But for our real small mom and pop shops, I've got a couple of clients right now that are looking to hire people, and they're like, we don't know how to do it. We can't find anybody to work, right? I hear that a lot. It's hard to find anybody who wants to work, right? All of our payroll, our small business payroll bundles come with built-in ZipRecruiter. So we have a formalized partnership with ZipRecruiter where you can literally log in, click a button, create a job description. We even have job description builders where you can then use a wizard based on your industry. It's got a pre-filled job description. You can plug that right into ZipRecruiter. You get it for free. It's included in your payroll, and start posting to ZipRecruiter, which posts to over 100 different job boards.
Yeah. What are the best recruiting? Because I've heard LinkedIn and Indeed are hot right now.
LinkedIn's big, Indeed's big, and ZipRecruiter posts to all these different types of job boards. So you can, instead of having to go to this place to post and that place to post, and every time you post, that might be, hundreds of dollars to make one job posting to last for a month. You have this built in, so you post as much as you want throughout the year to hire as many people as you want. And then we also have, not ZipRecruiter, but aside from that, background checks, right? So if you're working in an industry where you need to make sure you've done your due diligence as a business owner, then we have background checks that are included in our payroll as well.
And how do you go about the background check?
So literally everything, the payroll portal where you pay all your people houses all of these other ancillary services, depending on where you're at, which bundle you're on. Background checks, there's an HR portal in our payroll platform. You go to the HR portal, that's where you can add new employees, that's where you can get HR help, but that's also where you can collect the background checks. And we use a third party, but you go there, you fill out all the information. They're free. There are additional levels if you want to sort of like soup it up and make it a really intense background check. You've got all kinds of stuff that you can do on there and add little a la carte services. But the standard background checks that are most beneficial for most employers are included.
Yeah, I mean, like at Meldon Law, when we have personal injury cases and we're trying to investigate people, we either use Lexus or Westlaw, and they have background services, so you can find out normally what's recorded, right? That's what.
And it's funny because you probably know what the term CYA is, right?
Yes.
That's ADP loves its acronyms. Our company is called ADP, and when you get started at ADP, they literally give you this glossary of acronyms that you're going to learn. CYA is not on there. It's one that I talk about. And if you're a small business owner, and you know this from being in the legal world, there's a lawsuit on every corner, right? There's so many areas where if you're not careful, someone can sue you, and it could shut down your whole business. So whether it's you hired this guy, you were told he's great, and then he shows up, one day to work and gets in a fight with the client or a customer, and then you come to find out he's got a whole criminal record you weren't known about, and then that's a potential lawsuit waiting to happen. So having background checks is critical. Literally, and I share that story because that happened to one of my colleagues.
Well, so in our practice, if the company hires somebody and doesn't do their due diligence, right? we always look at whether or not there's a negligent hiring claim.
Absolutely.
That, they put a big truck in his hands, right? And then we do a search and we find out, well, he had 2 DUIs in the 7 years before they hired him.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And he just got his license back, and
Now you put him in front of a big truck and you have it go get behind the wheel, right?
Right. Yeah. Right. Or he's got a horrible driving record with 14 speeding tickets in a short period of time. So we always look at those things, and what you're talking about is how to insulate or protect your clients from those kinds of claims. A lot of people don't even realize that. We have negligent hiring, negligent training, negligent retention. Okay, because even after you hire them, if they were clean, if stuff is going on and you retain them, then it's like, why weren't you checking their driving record once a year?
Right, exactly. And most people get so in the weeds of the day-to-day of their business, they don't think about those things. And so something else that I talk about on almost every first meeting with a client or potential client is I ask them about their payroll process. How do they do that? That's a given. But do you have a job description for all your clients or for all your employees? Or do you have an employee handbook, right? Because an employee handbook is basically a contract with your employees. These are the expectations, and you can have an employee who says, I was wrongfully terminated because X, Y, and Z, and if you've got the employee handbook that spells out those policies, then you're fairly covered. But if you don't have that employee handbook, you could have a wrongful termination lawsuit on your hands. And so we talk about those sorts of things.
Do you normally advise companies to have like a 90-day probationary period or some probationary period?
I don't advise that, but we have as a field rep with ADP. However, if those are concerns that they're asking me, if we're having those conversations where we're talking about HR related issues, then I definitely talk about our HR assistance that we can provide. So most small businesses in the space that I work can't afford $75,000 to $100,000 a year for a SHRM certified HR professional. So we're able to provide those for them through a couple of different ways.
So the HR stands for human resources, and an HR professional would be somebody who's highly skilled in how to handle all these employee matters, including hiring, firing, what's included, what the contract or agreement is with the employee. And I think, right now, HR is becoming more and more essential as you scale up your business.
100%.
It's funny you mention that, because like when we were 12 employees, my bookkeeper, who's been with me 20 years, she was our HR person.
That's usually the case. Yeah, that's usually what it is. Yeah.
and actually that worked fine for 12 employees. Now that we're, almost 40 employees, we're all of a sudden going, we need an HR professional full-time, and we need to pay for it because we can't. Our office manager is too busy to handle it. Our bookkeeper is too busy to handle it. And it's actually a major function for any business. However, you provide that service for the small company that's 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 employees.
All the way up to even larger. So I work with 1 to 50 employees, but I can work any size beyond that with some of my partners that I work with.
So what do? For a smaller company, you'll get an HR person that'll work with several or many different smaller companies.
So for example, right now I'm working with it sounds strange, but I'm working with an armed security company. The guy reached out to me through a bank partnership of mine, and he needed to get all of his payroll set up, and we had that conversation, and then he called, and that was fine. And then he called me back about 3 weeks ago, after he'd been with us for a few weeks, and said, I realized that we're going to be growing a lot faster than I thought I was, and I need to get employee handbooks. That was on his mind, employee handbooks, because he knew, I need to make sure these guys are following policy. So when we started the conversation, I said, well, we also, with the employee handbook, you're also going to get what we call our HR help desk. So that's during sort of normal business hours, like it's 8 to 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. You can call a 1-800 number and get an HR professional. They're certified, they're SHRM certified HR professional who you can call. And if you have those, you're not sure, like, oh, my guy keeps taking smoke breaks and, I don't know how to handle it, or all those employee relations matters. They can kind of guide you. I'm not sure what questions I'm allowed to ask on a job interview, right? Yeah. Those sorts of things they can guide you through, and how to hire, how to retain, how to onboard, all that kind of stuff they will guide you through.
What are some of the other suggestions as far as retaining employees? We went through, health insurance is the biggie. What are some others that are important?
Yeah, so I would say besides health benefits, we do retirement as well. So 401ks are a big one. With the company match, that's a great way. And it's also a great way for a business owner, if you're your own employee, to have a 401k through your business. The federal government, a little over a year ago, established the Secure Act 2.0. So if you're a business owner and you're looking to sort of find ways to be more attractive to employees, doing a retirement plan is a great way to do so, and you can also benefit. The federal government is basically giving away retirement at this point. They see a need. Most people aren't saving enough. And you can use your business as a vehicle to save money for yourself, lower your taxable income as a business owner and an employee of your own business, and offer that to your your employees.
And sometimes the employees, in our law firm, we do a 3% match.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're making $70,000 a year, you take 3% of that. That's $2,100 a year.
Yep.
If the employee puts in $2,100 a year, we match it dollar for dollar. They get 100% return in year one, right?
Yep. And there's other incentives too for the business owner. So you can every retirement plan that you set up through your business is going to have administrative fees, right? That's a given. With the if you establish a new retirement account through your business for yourself and your employees, the federal government's basically saying the first 3 years of that plan, all those admin fees every year for the first 3 years come back at the end of the year as a tax credit. So that's basically a free retirement plan.
Now, the admin fees, would that be something that the employer is paying?
Yeah, the business owner pays the admin fees to whoever's administering the 401k.
Yeah, but if they're your employee, it'd be a write-off anyhow.
Right, and so beyond those 3 years, it's still a write-off. So
Right.
the first 3 years, you get a tax credit at the end of the year, and then beyond that, you get a business expense that you can write off.
And the tax credit's worth a lot more than just the write-off.
Just the
because the way it works is a tax credit. So, you make $75,000 a year, and your tax bill is $11,000, and you wind up getting a tax credit of $3,000. You take $11,000, subtract $3,000, and so it's worth a lot more than a quote-unquote write-off.
Exactly, and if you're the business owner and say you're paying yourself $100,000 a year, in 2024, with the 401k limit, you can contribute $24,000. So now, if you're making around $100,000 a year and you max out your contribution for yourself and you match it, you've put away $24,000. You potentially just lowered yourself into a different tax bracket. So that's that's pre-tax, right? And it's better to be able to, if you can do that. And then obviously, when you take the money out when you retire, you're going to be taxed on that. But that's why I always say, and I always have my accountants tell their clients, don't take it out unless you absolutely have to until you're retired, because you don't want to get hit with a double tax. So
the whole idea of these retirement plans, as I understand it, is it defers your requirement to pay income tax on your savings until you are retired, older, and presumably have a lower income. Mm-hmm. So you're going to pay a lower rate of tax on that.
Absolutely.
Than when you're at your height of your employment income.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's why they say don't do it unless it's an absolute emergency to draw into your retirement account.
And it's really important because Social Security benefits aren't enough to live on. Even people that are getting two Social Security, benefits, husband and wife, they might get anywhere from $2,000 to $3,500 or $4,000.
Right.
However, that doesn't go that far.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
And not only that, the government taxes your Social Security if you're still employed.
Exactly.
And I've always I worked well past my retirement age, and I'm going like, man, I already paid taxes when I was working, and now that I keep working after my retirement age, they're taxing me again. I go, what's up with that?
Yeah, right.
Okay, that's what you call a double tax.
That's a double tax. Yep.
That is. However, I would strongly recommend that everybody start a retirement plan. We have employees that started it decades ago, and they've got a nice nest egg, and it allows them some security. If an emergency happens, they've got a nest egg. If they have regular needs, they can draw down on it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of important reasons to do that. What about other benefits?
So one of the other things we haven't talked about, this is not necessarily an employee retention benefit, but I want to make sure we talk about it. It goes back to sort of the compliance thing I was mentioning earlier. So probably the most common thing I deal with outside of direct, just helping people with payroll, getting all that set up, is workers' compensation. So ADP we have another acronym. We have ADP-IA, which is ADP Insurance Agency. We are actually a broker. We have our own brokerage. And one of the most, in Florida, you're required at certain employment levels to have workers' compensation. So if you're a construction-related industry, anything that's construction or construction adjacent, the moment you have 2 employees, you need workers' compensation. For most other industries, it's 4. And so what we see a lot of, and in fact this just happened to me a couple months ago, one of the guys in my network came to me in the parking lot at a restaurant and said, hey, do you guys do workers' compensation? I said, yeah, we actually do. He's like, good, because I just got hit with an audit, and their carrier's making me fork over $2,500. I said, oh my God. He's like, yeah, they say I underestimated my payroll. And that happens all the time. So typically what happens is you go to a carrier or go to a broker and you get a policy, and the carrier says, what's your payroll going to be this year? And if you're a new business owner, that's not really your wheelhouse, you're going to say, I have no idea, and you guess. You just throw a number out there and hope it's right. And the carrier says, okay, great. Based on that, here's your deposit, pay us that, and then here's your monthly premium. At the end of the year, there's always an audit, and they will see how you've done over the year. And if you've hired people, or if people have worked more hours, your payroll dollars have gone up. So now you've gone higher than what you estimated, which means you've underpaid for that premium. Your premiums have been lower. So they're going to say, okay, great. Well, now we need to do a catch-up to make up the difference. We don't do that at ADP. What we do for most of my small business owners is, if we can write them, and there are certain industries that are harder for the small business, for a division to get workers' comp for, but we typically tie their payroll and workers' comp together. It syncs. So we call it pay by pay. So we don't do a deposit. Rather than having a messy out at the end of the year, we tie it directly to payroll. It's based on actual payroll dollars. So every time they process payroll, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, or monthly, we determine based on their classification codes for their industry and their workers what that's going to be, and we send the carrier the payment directly. And at the end of the year, their CPA and the finance person loves us because the audit's been super clean and there's no underpayment or overpayment.
And it's stressful.
And they don't have to worry about it. They don't have to deal with anything. It's just done. And the other cool thing is I work with a lot of construction-related companies, HVAC, electricians, plumbers. They need to be able to show proof of workers' compensation. They need the certificate. Well, in the payroll portal, they can literally go to their workers' comp section if they have workers' comp with us, and we work with all the major carriers. They can go into their workers' comp section, create a certificate, fill out who it needs to go to, and send it directly to that person right there. So rather than having to go to the carrier, call, send an email, have them send them it's a whole back and forth. They can literally just do it, send it out in 30 seconds.
That's great that you've integrated all that.
Everything's integrated, yeah.
What about paid time off? Do you help employers figure that
Absolutely,
deal?
yeah.
Talk about that.
So it's funny, like I don't know if you could see this on the camera, but as an ADP employee, we have this fun ADP mobile app. I don't know if you can see that. It's the same, you probably can't see it, but if I needed to, I go in there and I just click and request time off. So if an employer, if a business has utilized our timekeeping service, which allows us to do timekeeping and scheduling, then their employees can use that app, and most of them just probably pull it up their pay stub, and that's why they use it. But if you're using the timekeeping, they can literally go in and request time off, and that can send the request to whoever is designated to be the recipient, and then they can approve it, and everything syncs in with the payroll.
Right.
We can track vacation hours. We can do really anything that would be necessary. So some people break out vacation versus sick versus PTO. Like, we can customize it however they want it and track those with the app, and everything integrates and syncs.
It's funny because we used to separate the sick pay from time off, and what would happen is on certain days it seemed like there were a lot of people missing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I changed it and I just said, we give a lot of PTO. When you start working at Meldon Law, you get 21 days PTO in the first year.
So it's front loaded.
Front loaded,
Yeah.
After 90 days.
Right, right.
You can't start and take 21 days off.
I agree. Yeah, you know it would be there.
But that gives us a competitive edge in hiring because most firms don't offer that much PTO.
Right.
However, our philosophy is we want to keep our employees fresh. We want them to take time off. We want them to take a week off, take a 3 or 4 day vacation, and rather than burn out, because in any industry that can happen, and you need a certain balance, between your personal life.
And as the business owner, you have to keep track of all that. You have to know that it's accurate. And so that's where we come in, is make sure that whatever you need, and if you don't know, sometimes they don't know, well, how should I do this? Well, that's a whole other conversation, because you guys know how you're doing it, but some business owners we want to be able to do this better, and then we can provide that. We have those conversations, but we can customize it however they want. And the other sort of it's not a benefit, but it's another one of those CYA things, is time theft. So making sure your employees are where they need to be, doing what they're supposed to be doing, clocking in and out when they're supposed to be clocking in and out. And it doesn't matter the business size. I'm going to share 2 examples if I can.
Sure.
One of the clients we're working with right now, I won't name names, but they're a very large electrical company. 100 people. They're doing everything with paper. And employees are filling out their own timesheets, handing it to the supervisor, and the supervisor is supposed to be verifying it, and that goes to the payroll lady who's supposed to verify that, sign off, manually put it into whatever they're using for payroll, and hopefully it's all accurate. And they know, they may even share with us, we know it's not accurate. They know they're losing dollars. Now, they don't know how much they're losing. And I would venture to say with that employee count and that much paper manual process, it's probably in the tens of thousands of dollars that is being just lost. I share that because at the flip side, I've got a 6-person fence company in the Tampa Bay area that I just helped out with. And he said to me, he's like, hey, I know we got the payroll all set up. Do you guys do time tracking? Do you do time clocks? I said, yeah, we got all kinds of solutions. Good, because I keep the track of the time hours in my notes app on my phone. And I started doing that because I knew I'm on the job with most of these guys. I know when they're working, and I know that these hours aren't jiving. And so I started tracking it on my phone because they would send me what their hours are, and I'm like, no, that ain't right. And he knew that they were fudging the numbers a bit. And so it doesn't matter your business size. Time theft is a massive problem across all industries in this country.
Yeah, I would say right now, after COVID, remote workers are more and more common. So how do you track remote workers, working from home or wherever?
So it kind of depends. It's really hard, right? That's a whole new world that we live in. And if you're salary, you kind of have a little bit of the honor system, right? If you're hourly, it depends. So we've got one of the things that we implement is through that mobile app. You can see when people clock in and clock out. We can actually geofence. So when and where they clock out, you can track it. So for example, if your employees have to come to the office before they go out in the field, or if they're working from home and you see that they're actually you can see where they clocked in, and it's at the ball game. They're watching a Gator game. They're supposed to be at work. You can see where they're clocking in and clocking out, so you can keep track of that. I had a guy, he runs an elevator repair company, and one of his guys, he thought something was going on, and it turns out he was spending about an hour to 2 hours every day at a bar. And he's on the clock, so.
Yeah, not only is he going to be drunk and not performing well, but he's
driving
cheating
the company truck. Yeah, right. There's all kinds of red flags going off with that, so yeah.
Well, look, all of us that are running small businesses, are dealing with that because at some point, you can micromanage as much as possible, but you better hire the right employees to begin with, because people work remotely, and we've gone to at Meldon Law is 4 days in the office, 1 day remote, because it helps you hire the best employees, because nowadays everybody really likes having 1 day remote. Now, I'm thinking to myself, when I work remote, right? If I want to go into the kitchen and make myself a snack, then I do it. I don't take, I'm not on the time clock, but you multiply that by, 10 times during the day where they're, doing something,
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, when they're working remote, they're not as productive as when they're in the office.
Yeah, absolutely. And it depends on the industry, right? Like my wife works for her company. It's a nonprofit. It's a large nonprofit. They are clients of ADP. And it's funny because she has a similar thing where she works 2 days. I think it's 2 days, and I'm never at home, so I don't know. I think it's 2 days at home and 3 days in the office. I might have that backwards. But that's because, COVID, remote work, the cat's out of the bag. I don't think you're putting that back in the bag. But so businesses have had to learn how to adapt and how to manage that. And that's where we've seen a lot of our small businesses relying on our HR teams to provide that resource to them. Like, hey, how do we handle this? What are some tools and resources? And they can provide some feedback. So what that feedback is, I'm not a certified person, so I'm not going to say. But it's just, we're all in new waters now. We're all navigating new things as time has changed. So
if it was up to me, everybody would be in the office from 8:30 to 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And, I didn't have to clock in because I was there, before 8:30.
Right.
I'd walk around the office and make sure everybody was in their seat.
Yep.
And the issue is to hire the best and the brightest. You really have to adapt to what the expectations are of the workforce.
Absolutely.
So if you just ignore it, then a lot of people are going to go, well, shoot, I'm going to go work over there. I only have to spend 4 days in the office. I get 1 day to work at home, and I really like it.
Absolutely.
And, it's Fridays in our office. It's almost like a ghost town, because people tend to like Fridays for their remote working, right?
Absolutely.
And I always think, it's a 3-day work week, a 3-day weekend, right?
Yeah, right. I definitely see that for sure.
4 day, however, what we've done is, we create key performance indicators, KPIs, for every position, so we have some measurement of that. Do you have that ability to help people with
Absolutely. In fact, it's funny, we do that, like working at ADP, as an ADP employee, we have a lot of that. There's a lot of autonomy in my job, right? We have to be in the office for certain meetings and stuff, but I'm out in the field. I'm meeting with small business owners, right? It's going to be very clear really quick if I'm not doing my job. Right? And so we have a ton. ADP has and this is going way back. I didn't even specify some of these fun facts about ADP. ADP, the monthly jobs report that the federal government releases, that's all based on ADP data. ADP pays 1 in 5 Americans. So, which makes it challenging for me because a lot of times I call businesses and I ask them who their payroll provider is, and it's ADP. Yeah, right. So, but that allows us, at the end of the day, the D in ADP stands for data. So we have a ton of data. And so one of the other things that we do is a lot of people want to work with ADP. A lot of businesses want to work with ADP on the partnership level. So we have an ADP marketplace. So if there's something that we've vetted, a service that we've vetted that we think we can figure out a way to tie into payroll, whether it's mileage tracking, whether it's job costing and resource allocation services,
keystroke tracking,
all kinds of stuff. Different times. There's a thing called 7 shifts, and 7 shifts is what a lot of restaurants use to track time and pay and all that kind of stuff. And we can integrate with all those things. So there's all these partnerships and abilities for us to find our way to help small business owners, whether it's tracking their employees, providing solutions and resources through HR, all that kind of stuff. We've got so many services. Yeah. So
Well, let's tell our listeners and viewers how to get a hold of you.
sure. So I am throughout the Central Florida area. My cell phone. It's my cell phone I've had since I graduated.
This
high
is
school.
Mark Perez.
Mark Perez
with ADP.
ADP. And my cell phone that I've had since, not this specific phone, but this number I've had since, I think, right after I graduated high school, and that was a long time ago. I'm not going to tell you how long ago that was, is 772-321-4949. I'm from the Treasure Coast. I'm in Vero Beach, South Florida kid. So
Zero Beach.
Yeah, right. That's what I called it in high school. It has nothing to do in Zero Beach. Now I can't wait to go back and visit my mom. But my cell phone is 772-321-4949. Happy to call, text me. I'm always on my phone. That's my direct line. I don't have an office line. And then my email address is mark with a K, mark.perez@adp.com.
And what about a website? ADP I'm sure has a massive website.
We have a massive website. I would say shoot me an email, shoot me a text. Because if you go any large company, you call 1-800 number, you're going to get some random person. But I work locally with small business owners. So I'm the quarterback. So once a client comes on board with ADP and they're my client, I stay with them until I'm gone, basically, right? So I can help them if they have a client service issue. I want to be there for them as their first point of contact, so I can maybe solve it before they even have to call a 1-800 number. So
well, I'll tell you, I could go on forever with you, Mark. Our producer can tell you that we've actually gone long on the show because I couldn't stop asking you questions.
Well, I'm pretty long-winded. Ask my wife. So,
however, ADP helps small business owners. You need to reach out to Mark Perez at ADP, and he can help you take away a lot of the stress in your life because that's what stresses business owners out the most. It's not doing what they know how to do well. It's the stuff that they don't know how to do well,
and that they don't want to deal with.
So you're Mr. Relaxation.
I try to
take all the stress out of running
Call
your
me Jimmy
business,
Buffett, yeah.
and no matter how big or small you are, Mark Perez can help you out. I want to thank you very much for joining us on Meldon Law and Friends, and to our listeners and our viewers, I hope this has provided you valuable information, and we'll see you next week.